Hi, I'm Davern. I'm here to share my love for tennis with you and to help you be happier on the court. Okay. Today's video is about professional tennis and how everyone who's competing in the sport and everybody who's watching the sport, whether you're watching it from TV or online, or even better still that you're attending live in person, how that the sport can be happier all the way through from now and on. There's a lot of people looking at trying to do things where they want the game to be a bit quicker. So, for example, things like when somebody serves it, it hits the net and it just drops over, luckily in the right box, that they're talking about saying, hey, let's just make that faster and say that person wins. Or let's only play to 4 games in a set. Or let's start from 30 all. When it's juice, let's just make it whoever wins the next one wins. Or, you know, let's do 2 sets and then just make the 3rd set a super tiebreaker where we go up to 10 and make it finished, make it finished, make it finished. Listen, the thing is, tennis is not broken. Like everything else, everybody can always be doing things better than they're doing at, and that's the idea, is we're looking at trying to see how can we improve all the time and be better. So with the game, there's that many people who are watching the game, attending the game, and so many people who want to back up the game by being sponsors, and there's a lot of money, you can see by the prize money. Everybody's really interested in the game. So the thing is not to dramatically change it in some way, it is to try to do it better. So if things like too much time for things to get completed is the concern, then we have to try to think, hey, what is this tennis all about anyway? So this is the ultimate one person versus one person. There's a lot of unique things like compared to other sports where it's no time limit. It's just going to be, we go out there and we play however long that takes for one of us can overcome the other person. So then, you know, the difficulty of, you know, the mindset and the mental battle, the skill of tennis, if you've tried it before, you know, it's not that easy. So you have to have a high skill. Like I'm always saying to people, if it was so easy, why are they going to pay them $2 million for? Wouldn't they just give them $2 if it was that easy? So the sport has a lot of really good and unique things, and that's why it's so attractive to so many people. So many people play, so many people watch. The things that I'm going to talk about is we have to think, hey, if it's so much about skill, why is it that, and you know, the battle between two people, why is it that a lot of the things that are being introduced are going to be rewarding luck? Right? It doesn't make any sense. If you want to keep in the real essence of the sport, it has to be things such as when people are playing, that you do some certain things like the time between points to be only 20 seconds. Okay? And what happens now is it's a little bit given to the umpire's discretion of when they start the shot clock for the 25 seconds. For me, it needs to be not, you know, Nadal needs a rest because he's Nadal and he just ran like crazy and did 26 shots and it's really hard. It has to be, as soon as a point finishes, no matter who it is there, has to be fair. And the idea is to make the sport quicker and kill all the dead time where nothing's happening, is we start that shot clock of when the next point needs to start to commence immediately upon the ending of a shot or a point. So for example, if I serve an ace and my ball hits and it hits the backdrop at the Australian Open wall, as soon as that hits that backdrop, then that would be counted as the second bounce or the point's over, and the other guy over there, he couldn't return it. So as soon as that hits there, it should be auto shot clock, and then I need to be able to go and be ready and go into my service motion before the 20 seconds is gone. So there's no built-in extra time. It's no good saying, hey, it's a 25-second rule, when actually 7 or 8 seconds passes before they even start the 25-second marker. It has to be definitive and quick, and 20 seconds, not 25, so it's quicker. So in going with that, that means people can say, hey, but you know, it's hard and whatever else, and we just ran around like crazy. That's not really fair. Well, it's going to be fair because there's 2 of you there, and the rule applies to both. Okay, so everything's going to be fair because we're not going to make a rule that's only going to affect one person. It's going to be both. This is going to have a lot of repercussions and benefits to the game, because when people are playing this really negative rally style where people are keeping the ball going point after point after point, and there's no real variety of play, different types of shots, you know, nuances of the game that are disappearing or we hardly ever see, these type of things are going to have to come back, because if somebody just ran around a long time, they're going to know that, hey, if I need to start so quickly the next point, I'm going to have to work on some of the time. I need to play more aggressively and shorten points. Otherwise, I'm not going to have the, I'm not going to be ready to have the stamina to run really well to do another 20-shot rally after I just finished one. So that's going to force them to have more variety in tactics and all different styles. Over the years, it's always been that when you see really great rivalries, it's going to be a lot of the times one person is playing a very different style of game and doing different things to the other person, and when they go head to head, one style versus another, that normally brings out the really great matches and the great rivalries. But unfortunately, as things are going over the last 10 years or even more, a lot of the players, it's quite hard to detect if there's any different style or any different player at all. We should be seeing a lot of different things. So when we have such a rule that would be speeding up the game by making 20 seconds regardless, that would have a lot of good benefits, as well as it will achieve no need to make all these sudden death things or reward thing for luck or just shorten everything. It would still be play everything, but it would change a lot of things and make everything faster, of course, because you're cutting down time. Other things would be really important to save time, and there's many, with what can umpires do to make the game run quicker? So, and then there's a few. So then there's what can the players do? What can the officials do? What can the crowd do? And what can the coaching or support team do? What can even the doctors who's getting called on the court for the injury timeout? All these things, how can these things all look at and sharpen their processes so that time's not wasted? So for example, with the official or the head chair umpire, something that could be done to make everything go quicker is that when every time a point is ending, so that both players are immediately aware if they want to argue or who this call is actually going against, who's actually lost, it should be that as soon as the point is finished, the chair umpire must only look at the person who lost the point or the call has gone against. And then because all the players are going to know that, and all the everybody's going to know that, is that once a point's done and I'm looking up going, I'm sure that I won that, if I see that umpire's looking at me, then I'm going to immediately know it must be him who needs to challenge. I'm going to immediately know it's on me. They just called that out when I know it's in. I'm going to challenge straight away. If I want to argue, I'm going to be straight away now doing it because he's looking at me. That's going to be the signifying point. If I do this and I thought I'm not sure if that was in, and then I see the umpire's looking at the other guy, then I immediately know just go over there, get ready to play on, have the game going quick. See, when the players are playing, there's all this time wasting going on there. Same as another one I think that should be put in is that where somebody sometimes happens, and this is what we really want to encourage, is really good sportsmanship, is that a player serves an ace, for example, and some of the players sometimes go, I challenge that, and then the umpire is going, yeah, but that was called fault, and the player's going, yeah, I'm challenging it because I think it was in. He should have challenged, but he didn't, so I'm going to challenge it. And then they go through the whole process of showing the replay, and then it is actually an ace, and then people clap because the person was a good sportsman. To me, it's like, hey, that's a lot of waste of time, but we do want to encourage the really good sportsmanship. It's one of the most things important of all, is that if somebody says, hey, I think it's called wrongly, it should be against me, that's one of the rules of tennis. So why are we doing the video replay and the umpire in a way saying, hey, I don't really respect your integrity and honor and that you're right? If a player is saying, hey, I lose that point, that's a wrong call, you should be just immediately calling the point and playing on. You shouldn't be double checking whether he really knows what he's doing or not, because he's conceding the point. That's one of the rules that is in the game. So that should be promoted and pushed, but also helped to be quicker. It doesn't need to be double checked by showing that, because they've already said, hey, that was an ace. So why are we going through the video replay? Same as with this challenging system. If the umpire is immediately only looking at the person who loses the point, when you look up and you see that, it should be that the player is not on some reality TV show. It's like, hey, it should be that if he doesn't straight away or she doesn't straight away say, as the umpire looks at her, yeah, I'm going to challenge, then because they know that and they got the eye contact happening, is that then they shouldn't be allowed to challenge. It shouldn't be, hey, what does all my coaching team and my extended family, what does the crowd think? What will I do? This is not how it works. It needs to be, if that player, because it's a one-to-one sport, doesn't decide by themselves and quickly that they want to challenge or not, they should be forfeiting the right to challenge. There should be no calling on to other people, which again, this is another thing that would save a lot of time. Same as when the players are playing and the umpire's looking at the person who loses the point immediately, is that if I'm going to have an argument and think I got really badly done by, which does happen on the court, is almost every time this happens, the umpire has already called the score. And in tennis, the players know or should know that once the score has been called, doesn't matter if you call the referee or any famous higher source or person in the world, once that call has been done, once the referee comes on and you have your big argument, the point is always going to stand however it was called. So then to get rid of all these arguments that waste a lot of time, especially if you're considering that the call never gets changed because the score is being called, is if you're immediately looking at the person who's lost the point, if they're going to argue, they should be then arguing then before the score is counted. So then actually, if there is some sort of really good point that the person, the player, wants to raise, that should be able to be there before the score is called. Then if in the instance where somebody's, reverts to what would become the old system and they want to start arguing and the score's already been called, the umpire should be saying, I repeat, love 40, play. Because that's signifying to the player that, listen, the point has already been called. We're never going to change it no matter what discussions or referee or anything you want to do. We are not changing it because the score's been called. So they should be pushed then to play on because they had their option and they know that when the umpire looks at them, it's on you now. So if you want to argue or you want to challenge, you got to do it. Let's do it now. Save a lot of time. Okay? And there's so many things. For example, when I'm at the Australian Open and people are ready to go in the court, a lot of times what happens is that you're queuing up to go back in or to go in the first place for the next match or in your Rod Laver Arena Centre Court tickets, and you'll be waiting in a line. And when you're waiting in that line, then somebody's going to look at your ticket, whether it's on your phone or whether you've got the printed ticket or you're wearing it around your neck on one of the tags. So then to see whether you're at the right door and it's valid for today and it's valid for Rod Laver Arena. This is making a lot of times when people go into the court slow to get in, and then on the TV and around the world they're like, why are the players waiting so long to play for? It's because the crowd is still moving around. So what should be happening in my opinion is that when people are waiting to go in, of course we want to get the fans back in so they can see. We don't want to be making it that they're going to have to wait a whole nother change of events before they can go in and watch the tennis live from their seat what they're paid for. Is we should be having some sort of system where there's, with all the technology we have now, is some sort of turnstile where when you come back to go in, you can just scan your ticket pass on the turnstile, and if you don't have that, you won't be able to get past the turnstile. If you do, you can line. So there might be, say, 15 people past the turnstile waiting to go in, but somebody doesn't have to individually come and check every single time you do that because you won't be able to be back inside that turnstile level unless you've got the proper ticket. So all they're going to do is try to help you to get to your seat quicker and make it that you can see more and speed up the process a lot, because who wants to be standing in the stairwell and hearing the game when you can't be there? You should be trying to have a better fan experience, and especially we want as the game not to be disrupted on the courts. Same as when players are playing, they're going to be serving from straight up and down here. I'm serving from here. Nadal's over there, so you better watch out because I'm on fire today. Is that when we play and play's being disrupted and they don't play and people are moving, it's going to be the people who are moving behind the server or behind the receiver. So if people are entering in all these doors from here, those doors you can let people come in a bit longer. It doesn't make sense that all the doors let people come in at the same time. It should be that the doors have extra staff or have a better system that are behind the players, because those doors, they need to be not letting people come in that there's too much time passed and they're going to play soon. So there's never people moving around where they're actually going to have to stop. So it needs to be that those doors there, everyone knows that, hey, if we're in these type of seats, we need to be quicker in, because that they're going to close us going back in to find our seat quicker, because we're the ones who are going to be the people who are stopping the game from going ahead and making everything slow down. So these are some of the things. For example, I noticed that, some elderly people, people who haven't been into tennis very much, of course, the wheelchair is going to be a little bit slower to get to where you need to seat. So this type of situations needs to be managed so that these people are able to get into their places with plenty of time and see the tennis, but has to be done in a lot smarter way, so that, because especially the doors that are affecting the straight up and down view of me serving and Nadal receiving what's happening behind me, these ones need to be ultra on the ball and have a much better system, so that how long before you can go in is going to be much shorter than all the other doors. And you might have, like happens a lot of time because they're doing such a great job there, is that Australian Open is, if the time's nearly running out and they're going to start playing shortly, the umpire calls time, is that before they call time, when it's these main doors that are affecting, that they should be saying, okay, we can't let anyone in now, or you need to go in and just go to any seat that's really close by, and then later move to your chair, because no one else is coming in. So whoever's sitting in the seat that's close by, they won't be coming in if it's empty now. So then when the next change of end comes in, you can go to your chair. We should really need to push these things, and especially on the ends where are directly behind the players who are playing. So they need to cut off quicker, and they need to stop letting people in before the umpire calls time, so that people are not moving around. Same as the crowd. When you're the crowd, ways you can help for the matches to not be wasting time or being interrupted would be that everybody who's there wants to enjoy their time, but we need to a little bit encourage people who are there who want to talk or yell out stuff while people are playing the points and things like that, is because it's not a requirement for everyone to fill out a questionnaire to know, like, the etiquette of how to be part of the crowd and not interrupt the tennis players. Maybe that should be another thing, is that you know, the normal thing that often happens is, if somebody's making too much noise, is some of the crowd is like, shh, trying to make them be quiet and things like that. Is we need to be doing these type of things here, trying to get people to, you know, stay still, be a little bit, without being overly bossy, but trying to encourage people to make sure that they're not disrupting the game and, you know, having a negative effect on the sport. So things, for example, that you could do if you're in the coaching team would be of the players, is, in my opinion, this is a subject where some of the people are saying, listen, hey, the coaches are coaching the players while the match is going on. And one of the best things about the sport is it's individual. If the coaching is really good and comprehensive, and they're covering situations that their player needs to do, what should they do in every situation, then I don't really see why they feel that they haven't done enough and they need to try to teach them while they're playing, or they're trying to cheat because it's against the rules while they're playing. So an easy thing here, with players constantly looking up at the coaching team for should I challenge or not, or what should I do now, it's very simple to me. It's like, if people have the argument that because all the coaches are coaching, they should just make it legal, and let's do so the coaches go down to the court. This sport is about the players, it's not about the coaches. The coaches are, of course, a very important part of the sport in getting people to play and learn and love the game, but when it's match and professional, it needs to be that the coaches, the solution is the coaches are never in the stands in the stadium. That's going to cut out a lot of time of people trying to get coached or trying to communicate things like that, or should I challenge or not, and all these type of things, because the coaches are removed and they can be anywhere in some really nice place with a nice big screen TV, writing down their notes and analysing what they should do, where their player needs to be better for the next round or for the next tournament. They can do that and have all the different, digital equipment and video analysis software and things like that to be looking at whilst the people are playing, and watch the match, be on side of course, but be removed from the stadium, and then there is no coaching, and there's going to be a lot less time of players looking there and doing this type of stuff. So that would be one thing. Another thing would be when the players are playing is the injury timeouts is a really big thing. I think a lot of time is being wasted on that, and they probably need to look at saying that this is not actually an injury timeout, because a lot of people are looking at it going, this is a bit weak, or I don't really agree with this when they're looking at tennis. It's because the players aren't calling an injury timeout or want to see the doctor when they're like really, really injured and really, really struggling to be able to play. The players are basically looking at when they feel like they can't compete as well as they can, and it's really hampering, they feel like it's, detracting from their ability to win, they're going to be having an assistance or analysis or some sort of help. It's in sort of like a treatment or things like that to try to get their mind off whatever's happening within their body and things like that. It's not actually that, hey, I think I might need to get my leg amputated if I keep playing. It's going to be like an injury, like you can't play, you've pulled a hamstring. It's going to be that something to a much lesser extent. So should be really changing the name of what that is. And the most important part to save time would be is a lot of times another bad part of the sport, or a part that should be done a lot better, is that when people call injury timeouts, you have to question a lot of times, is this because that they really need that, or is this that they want to choose the best possible time to disrupt their opponent's rhythm and they're just not feeling the game and the other person's in the zone and they feel like, hey, if this keeps going, I'm going to be getting wiped. I need to stop the momentum, restart, get my breath back, any of these things, then this is definitely not in the proper spirit of the game. It needs to be whoever's better and can prove it under the situation is the person who is going to be triumphant on that day. So to me, a simple cure for this, to save a lot of time, would be that if anybody ever wants to call an injury timeout, they need to make a request, and when they make a request, they can only say one thing. As an example, if somebody says, hey, I'm feeling really tired and I need an injury timeout, I can't, I've got no breath, I can't, something's wrong. This would be one request on a thing, which means the umpire cannot approve that, because that's not a legitimate injury. So once they're getting a response to say, hey, sorry, you can't have an injury timeout for that, they shouldn't be able to just run through a deck of another 5 possible scenarios of why they should get an injury timeout. They should have only one possible argument or request on why do they need this now for each time. And if that's declined, that means they would have to wait and play on, and then the next time request again for an injury timeout. And to try to alleviate the problem of messing up people's momentum and trying to turn the match around based on injury timeouts, is that it should be that, in my opinion, when they want to call an injury timeout, we're playing now, if the other person is serving, this is one of the best times where you can make them stress out and mess them up by making them wait a really long time and get cold, is that when the other person's serving, the injury timeout should never be granted until the server has finished a game. So if I'm the receiver, I shouldn't be never allowed to call injury timeout until that server has actually finished that game. By doing this, you would find that there'll be a massively less injury timeouts ever called. And on top of that, is when people want to have an injury timeout, I think that they should only be allowed to have it if this game needs to be done on the next changeover after the one coming. So for example, if it's four games to love, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to just use this system to my advantage and be not so classy and try to do something to throw this guy off, because that's what everybody told me I should do when I get in this situation, is then I should be saying, if I want an injury timeout to the umpire, that we're going to be able to, he's need to finish his serve, so then maybe it's going to be 5-love or 4-1, and I can't have the injury timeout on this changeover. It has to always be one future one. So that means if the umpire says, yes, you can have an injury timeout, if I, for example, manage to get back 4-1 or 1-4 because I'm going to serve, I was behind 4-love, then we sit down and have a change of ends. It shouldn't be that I have an injury timeout now. It should be that I need to come out and do another round, 2 games, a service game each, before there's a changeover, when they have a changeover all the time, that only on that subsequent one should I be able to have the injury timeout. So if someone is really, really injured and they're not going to be able to play, not going to be able to compete, then that means they would know and they would forfeit the match. So this is more about cutting out a lot of wasted time and getting rid of the sort of area where it's not really good for the sport, where people are using the rules in the wrong way, and making it much more about the skill and who's better at the time, than interrupting it with these type of things. That these type of additions or adjustments to the rules would make a lot of difference in killing time and making people actually play on. And then you would find that because they can't pull the injury timeout move on exactly when they want it to most disrupt the other person, then they'll end up not even doing it, because that set's going to be gone and they're going to have to focus on the next set, or the momentum and timing means, and they don't really need it that badly. Because a lot of players, of course, because it's such a physical sport, are going to have some sort of injuries or really soreness all the time anyway. So they're always competing with this type of thing. That's part of the package of being a professional sportsman, competing in a very high intense manner physically on the court. So with the injury timeouts, then you've got where they get called and they're getting called immediately on the spot, is you have times where the doctor is not exactly right there ready to go, because he has no notice that he or she is not able to get there straight away. So then we're going to have a lot of waste of time in terms of the match getting completed. But if you're following this idea where when anybody requests an injury timeout or a physical treatment timeout, is that the process of having to do it on a subsequent change of ends means that the doctor, he or she, can be notified that, hey, look, they've called a physical treatment timeout, and we need you to be at Rod Laver Arena or on the center court as soon as possible, ready to go, as soon as whichever game they're finishing now ends, to make it that as soon as that 90-second change of ends starts, that the doctor can be going in, and that 90 seconds can be part of the medical timeout, not extended on top of the timeout to shorten everything. And be ready to go and treat the player and not be so stressed and all that, because they have notice and they have a chance to be there and they're ready. And this medical treatment or physical help is going to be there starting on the spot and not getting really lengthened out because they haven't arrived yet, and then only once they arrive, then the 90 seconds passes for the changeover, then the person hasn't arrived, then we're going to start the treatment, and then that's going to start. That's a lot of time. So we need to try to cut all that down by doing this, and then the person's going to be on the spot. Okay? And of course, as always, I'm always asking all the people that I'm on the court with, giving lessons on things that they feel in all this type of things. So of course, one of the big topics is that people are telling me that the main part that's very irritating for them, or not for everyone, but quite a common one, is that it just takes too long for people to serve the ball. Now they don't want to see all this hundreds of bounces and doing this and before they start playing. They want to just see them start. So what I think should happen is that everybody needs to have their own style and class and make some new type of way they're going to come up and play. So for example, I might be doing something like this where you can't even see I've got a ball, and I'm here, and every time when I'm about to play, just from here I'm going to put it to my hand, and then I'm going to go into my action. Because the bouncing of the ball and things doesn't change how your service action and the outcome's going to be. But the time that we're wasting in between, that's in a way, if you're looking at how can the sport be better, that's a bit killing the sport. So trying to come up and have some new thing that you do that's individual and relaxes you before you serve, because a lot of times people are arguing that this bouncing is to relax them and help them think, is what about when you're walking around? Can't you think while you're walking around? Come on. And then having something quick like that doesn't take the bounces, that's going to be good. So this is my idea, is I'm going to be like this, have this here, then as soon as I see the person's ready, look into their eyes, make sure they're watching, so we're ready to play fairly, I'll just go straight into the action there. So perhaps when it's a first serve, people are only allowed to bounce the ball once. When it's a second serve, people are allowed to bounce the ball twice. But we really got to get rid of all this time that's being wasted, and people are there to watch the great game of tennis. They're not there to watch all that stuff that goes on, which is just trying to eat up the clock. We want people that once they come up to the line, they're ready to go. The hanging around at the line is one of the things that everyone's telling me, this is the part that they most dislike about the sport. So if people are saying that to me, then hey, I'm saying, look, I love the sport and I want everything for it to be better and be more successful and be seen and enjoyed and played as the best sport in the world. So we've got to look at trying to fix these type of things. Then with this type of idea, when you serve, any of these type of things where you're rewarding luck, where people try to say, hey, when you serve and you hit the net cord and it just dribbles over or bounces really weak and the ball goes in the box, we should just say, hey, that's the point to the server, because the receiver couldn't get it, so let's just speed it up. So then when this type of thing happens, to me remember the essence of the game is skill, the mental battle, 1 against 1, or if it's doubles 2 against 2, and you're only relying on your teammate, not all these other people, is that if you want to do something like to speed up the sport, it should be that when you serve it and hit the net, well, then you didn't cleanly make it. Should be actually, if you want to do that, then that's a fault. If you touch the net, even if it lands within the correct service box, make it a fault. But do not ever make it that it's going to be a point for them on luck. Same as shortening the sets to 4. We just try to hurry all the different things with all these different ideas that I'm talking about, and there's more. Of course, I'd love to hear anybody else's comments on things that you dislike about the time wasting in tennis, and ideas, even more importantly, ideas you think would be working well to make the game go quicker. If you leave comments below, I'll definitely have a look at all those and really look forward to reading those and reply back to you. These are all the types of things that should be happening. We shouldn't be changing the scoring at all. We shouldn't be rewarding luck. We need to keep the essence of the game and the quality of the game as it is, and try to make sure that all these type of things are being thought of and put together to keep that scoring system, because in the end of the day, one of the main things everybody loves to do is compare, what records, how many of these tournaments has this person won versus in the past? How are the past champions? How is this player doing at 23 years of age compared to what had Rod Laver achieved at 23 years of age? So this comparison to between current players and goals for younger people to come up is very reliant on that. Is still the same. So if we're changing the whole scoring system and all these rules and shortening sets to 4 and making let's reward luck, and especially even worse, when it's juice, just say, okay, whoever is lucky and wins the next point gets the whole game. These things shouldn't happen. It should be preserving the essence of the sport so that we can really compare. So for me, I think that once you get to this juice situation, say for example, I was 40-30, Rafa over there, and then he's got me back to juice. He needs to, from 40-30, win 3 points in a row against me to win the game, because of the needing to win 2 points in a row from juice. These juice and advantage battles are the best part of the sport, and they make sure that whoever's playing better at the time is going to win that game and deserve it and earn it. It's not a battle of, I just hit one, for example, net court and it dies and I go in, I get a game for that because it's just 1 point and juice and it's over. He's going to have to win 3 in a row to win, and then of course he deserves to get the game, because when it really counts, he was able to put the points together in a row. Same as for me, if I'm 30-40 down and I can get 3 points in a row, then I get that game. Or if we're at juice, one of us has to play a higher level than the other consecutively to be able to really earn that. And that's more important, because of course everything that you really earn, it means a lot more to you. This sort of one-shot things are no good. It's not part of the sport. Same as the sport is an amazing platform for people and what's happening in the world, and especially of course for children. So one of the things that can really save a lot of time, and I feel strongly about, is I don't really see how professional tennis players getting children as a servant, the ball kids, and getting them to run over and pass them towels and back is really a good message we're sending around the world. I think these people have this opportunity. They should be more powerful and trying to do things more positively in the world as well for the sport, but just the general message. So for me, no player should ever be getting a towel pass, and all this going for the towel all the time. Of course, that wastes a lot of time. So I think that players should have to have some sort of mini towel in their pocket or into their shorts or their tights, so that if they really need to wipe something down, that it's right there and they do it for themselves, instead of having someone pass it to them. And then all this walking to the back corner to the ball person and getting the towel, or the ball person, a lot of the times they force them to walk up to them and give it to them, then the ball person has to run off. That's a lot of waste of time. So some people go, but I sweat a lot. But say, every time we change ends, what's stopping you from changing your shirt, changing your hat, changing your sweatbands, changing your socks? Anything you need to change, you can do it on the change of ends. So it's not that long. It's just 2 games and then there's a change of ends all the time. So it's easy enough to change and get clear with all this type of waste of time with the towel. Another thing that I try to do always when I'm playing, especially competing and trying to get people I'm teaching to show and portray when they play, is to be tougher, be stronger. So when you're out there, we've got to do things that show, because this is a very physical and difficult sport, to give that image across to everybody who's looking at it. is that when you play is all this little stuff like, you know, stopping and tying your shoelaces and stuff like that, is we want to get the play to go on, and that we don't need that. We want to be able to play fast and not complain about it. We want to have the action, and we're warriors, we can do this. That's what we're trained for, we're tennis pros. So things for like tying up the shoelaces, now there's really no excuse. Is when you've got your shoes, who can't tie a double knot and be a professional tennis player? And once you've done the double knot, is tuck in this hanging part here, tuck in the hanging part here under the thread of the other laces. So there's, even if this part comes undone, which should be very difficult if it's a double knot, even if this comes undone, if these here are all tucked under there and these are kept short, there's no way really in professional tennis that anybody should be having to wait for tennis players to put on their shoelaces, off their shoe, do up the shoelace again, and this type of thing. This is just stalling tactics. We need to get rid of this, and this is a simple way of doing that. And if you want, umpires can even have a look at the start of the match or whenever they're putting on a new pair of shoes to make sure that, hey, there's no way that these are accidentally going to come undone and waste time and stall the match. Is be ready to play, be ready to rumble, get out there and do the stuff. Show everyone how strong and tough a game tennis is when it's at the highest level. So this is important things to do, not to waste time. So with this one and the US Open coming up very soon, is that it'll be a really good time to watch the US Open matches and have a look at what's going on. And then again, I invite you to write what you notice, or even before that starts, is to put down things that you feel that would be better able to speed up the game and make it more enjoyable for everyone, so that we can really push all these type of things here, and we don't have to suffer the disgrace of people wanting to get their name over the sport and change the scoring system and these rules to, you know, reward luck and just shorten everything. It's not broken. So many people love the sport, so many people play the sport, there's so much money and people interested in the sport, people are going, people are sponsoring it, it's only having more and more prize money every year. If any Australian Open's anything to go by, there's a record crowd every year that I've been going for so many years. There's always more people one year than the next. So there's nothing wrong with all the scoring. It's great, it's unique, we need to preserve that and keep that. For the sport, we just need to do other things more cleverly to speed up all the processes. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I'm wanting you to put those comments down and wanting you to watch the sport on the TV and of course go in person. Of course, you know, around the world, soon as the situation allows for everybody to do that. I can't wait to go and see the next professional tennis tournament soon as it's possible. Enjoy your time on the court. If you like this video, please subscribe to my tennis YouTube channel so that you can get a notification by email each time a new video is uploaded. Also, don't forget to share this video with your friends so they can enjoy their tennis too.